Hello, welcome to Midweek. My name is Michelle Wingle, and my soul's purpose is to move the planet forward, healing myself and others emotionally, physically, mentally, and spiritually. Today, I want to focus on something, of course, that ties with Christmas, but it's becoming something of a joke to ask, what do you want for Christmas? Or if you had one wish, what would that be? And the answer is often said in a funny way, world peace. Today, I want to shine a light on a microcosm of world peace in what I'm calling World Wide Web peace. The truth of it is that no matter what is going on out there, it will never feel peaceful out there if there is no peace in here. And before I get into peace on the internet, I want to tangent a bit for some understanding. Recognizing we are not at peace within is more difficult than it appears, and here's why. We are really crappy at understanding and working with our emotions, and it's not our faults, it's just the way we've accepted things to happen. So here's a simple example that moves us away from inner peace and peace within our world. Person A, here's a scenario, person A. You didn't pick up the dry cleaning today. You always do this. Now I have to take time out of my day tomorrow and pick it up. You are so, and then you insert any insults you have here. Person B, it's not that much time out of your day. They might use logic. They start going into, that's not that big of a deal. And they invalidate away the complaint or may add, well, and insert a rebuttal insult. And sadly, dry cleaning is not really a good example. Life has much more complex, personal, and tender topics of conflicts that begin with the same cycle of hurt. Am I right? If we were good at emotion, if somehow that had become part of our consciousness as a society, as a whole group of people, this conversation maybe goes something more like this, with three key parts in place. So the three parts are: one, we would need to recognize the real physical emotion. Two, we would need to understand the origin and perspective on the emotion. And three, we would need to be willing and compassionate in ourselves and with our partners, with the ability to understand emotions and the perspectives of those emotions. So we're going to break those down a bit. So in person A began the conversation, and emotion was already running in the system. In a split second of time, the thoughts and story come second to the emotion. So this is huge. So I'm going to slow it down. The problem of the dry cleaning was a secondary effect. A physical reaction is what came first. So emotion being a physical sensation in the body, it's like when you have to go pee. And that is a physical sensation. Emotions have a physical sensation, and the emotional body uses the physical body to communicate an emotion. This is how it happens. So we have a physical sensation, and then because we haven't agreed that this is important, and we kind of have belittled emotions and made them not important in our society, we look to the mind to come up with a why we feel the way we do, and it better be good, instead of what the emotion is. So imagine if when we had to go pee, we looked back over the last few hours and felt we needed an explanation of why we had that sensation. That would be crazy. We're sitting there wondering why we have to go to the bathroom. Instead, the sensation happens and we know what to do, right? And with practice and awareness, we can begin to really understand what signals match what emotions, just like we had to learn that for going to the bathroom when we were a kid. And if I really wanted you to describe what it feels like to have to go to the bathroom, as I was thinking about this, I asked my daughter, what would you say it feels like? And there's really no way to explain the physical sensations in the body. It doesn't do justice to it. It doesn't match up. Yet we know exactly There's no doubt we know what that sensation is, and there's no doubt we know that we cannot just move past those sensations, pretend like they don't exist, and go about our day. And emotions should be the same. If we could get clear on our emotions or how we are actually feeling, that's why we say feeling, it's a sensation, things change inside and in our world of relationships. So, part one, we need to understand that part of it. Part two is the origin and perspective on the emotion. We have to have this kind of in place. And again, we haven't been given these tools so far. So if there's nothing wrong with any of us. It's just time to learn these in a really elementary way. Experiences in childhood are the baseline for our world. That's just the way it is. Forgetting to pick up the dry cleaning, for example, or whatever needed picking up, may have been a traumatic event in childhood, meaning the story that happened at that time, whatever happened, put the body into an alert state of being, meaning the heart started to beat faster and the breath sped up and the body became tense. So whatever that story looked like, that was what our body reacted to. And these are the body's responses to trauma. And trauma is a huge word, but it really needs to be understood, the difference between trauma and traumatic events. They're different. So trauma, or feeling unsafe, and the mind doesn't see the difference between the two. It's just wanting to know why so that we can fix it and move on. That's the mind's job. Another word for safety is peace. So the damage that partner B does is to begin to logic around the emotion, like telling person A they really don't have to go to the bathroom, or that they shouldn't have to go to the bathroom. The why that the mind came up with isn't good enough. And in that state of emotion, so see how we're having an emotion and then the reaction is a mental thought. It's a why. And so that's why person A starts to feel defensive. And that's why person B is defensive, because they're having the same reaction, frustrated at, they're feeling those sensations because the partner brought that up, right? Especially because they kind of moved at it in a real kind of blame way. So, and when the person B brings up the logic, it's kind of partially correct, because that's really not what's going on. So they're like, why would you think that? That's not really logical, but it's because we've gotten off track about the emotion. And words like, will you, or at least, they always discount what feels like a threat. And that is, that starts to send sensations in the body of unsafeness or not feeling peace. So both people are having a physiological response to this unsafe situation. And it's not like understanding the origin needs to happen for each emotion, especially when the emotion is in full swing. It's simply knowing that our perspective is perspective and not factual. It's really understanding that something has come up, and wow, that is showing up for me. And like I say, maybe we need to go back and find exactly the moment where that happened. That can be useful, but I think it's just enough to recognize I am seeing things from a perspective, and recognize that's different from it being the way everybody would see it in that perspective. But each partner needs to take some responsibility in the interaction, becoming aware of the increase of stress reactions in the body and not following them on their enticing trail, realizing this trail has come from the past. The third thing we need to be a willing and compassionate partner with the ability to understand and withstand. If person A starts off on the trail of blame, person B can still save the interaction. Sometimes the burden lies on person B, and it kind of may not sound fair, but it really is a powerful place to be. Ideally, person A shares what they are feeling, or not, that they are not feeling quite right inside. They can even bring up the fact that, or the idea that when the dry cleaning doesn't get picked up, it makes me feel da 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 da, angry, hurt, unloved, whatever. Both knowing that these words are just the best descriptive words for the elevated physiology happening in the body. That's the best we can do, is use this word to describe sensations. Person B supports person A, asking to share more about the feeling, repeating back exactly what the person A shared and asking, did I get that right? Anything more you have on that? Moving the responsibility of what's happening aside so that they can just be there in this moment. And I know it's hard, and it takes some effort, and it takes some willingness, like I say this, but this is important. And little by little, as the emotions inside person A spill out, the body calms down. And now logic becomes attainable. In the state, in that pressure state, the brain, that part of the brain, the logic brain, actually shuts down. It's not accessible to us. So until we start to calm down, can we even begin to see what's happening? And then person B might get a chance to respond, with person A repeating and asking their repeat versions, if their repeat versions are all right, and if there's more. And however, more likely than not, person A begins to remember the good things about person B and life in general, and since an argument never really began, solutions start to become clear. It starts to be more accessible, it seems like not as big of a deal to just swing by and pick up the dry clean the next day. We're now calm. So person A, although unable to completely describe it, feels a sense of inner peace, and then peace outside can be established as well, world peace. Like I mentioned, we have been given a microcosm of the world called the World Wide Web. It seems more and more we are bumping up against each other online, similar to the feelings and reactions in the dry cleaning scenario. When someone shares, are we in reacting mode, or can we honor the sensation that person may be having, as well as the sensation that's happening within ourselves? Often we skimp on likes or hearts because why exactly? That's my question. Is there a finite amount of them? Does it have a meaning that's so strong that it's too much to give away? Does honoring the person and honoring what they are sharing the same thing, or are they different? Like person B, we hold a lot of power when we look past the share and into the soul of the person sharing. I encourage you to get some awareness about sensations going on inside while on the World Wide Web. There are so many studies that say keeping off of the internet or social media can up your happiness level. And to keep off of it does. So if being on there doesn't, it's time to ask ourselves, why? Does it bring inner peace? And if not, what are those sensations, those physiological sensations describing? It feels good when someone likes our posts or our share, or someone comments, right? And you can give that goodness to others, and that is powerful. We must ask ourselves what we are feeling that makes us hesitant to click on a little thumb or a heart, and see what it is that stops us. And it's fair to ask ourselves, if it's not too much to click on a thumbs up or a heart in support of these people we call friends, then how are we reacting in the real world? How do we act around people that aren't our so-called friends? Do we gloss over humans in our real life the way that we might gloss over people on this world of connected air? Also, do we share things that uplift and bring light to the world? Or do we share our fear? We need to get clear on what is happening within us as we share. This little piece place of interaction through the airways of the internet is a wonderful laboratory for world peace inside and out. We have the opportunity to reach out easily and effortlessly to people online. So for the next few days, write a comment on a post that you normally wouldn't. Let your hearts and likes be just about connection, brotherhood, and sisterhood, which is really love. I want to wish you a Merry, Merry Christmas. For this week's music, I'm going to put a link below. And it's a 10-minute video. It's kind of long, but it's a special time of year to remember the world peace that was able to be achieved in the middle of the war in 1914. And to really understand the power that we have. It was only one or two people that created a magical experience of peace that we're talking about more than 100 years later. And our opportunity to do that same thing, not in World War I, but on the World Wide Web, is possible. So I wish you a Merry Christmas. I will see you next time. Have a great day.